All right, guys. Hey, hello. I figured I'm gonna probably end up doing these probably once a week, only because uh, I tend to get hyper focused, and then I will burn out if I do too many videos at once. Even though it is something that I really enjoy doing. So today we're gonna be talking a little about justice as the main goal of any government, and then we're gonna be talking about what it means. Um, Going a little bit deeper, we talked about it a little bit on our last episode, but talking about justice. So here we go. Justice is the main goal of any government. And justice is defined as the right to be left alone. The right to be left alone. And it is protected by the Constitution. Very important to understand that the right to be left alone is protected by the Constitution. Now, justice, here's a quote here from the reading on history and the system of common law. Justice as a moral habit is that tendency of the will and mode of conduct which refrains from disturbing the lives and interests of others, and as far as possible hinders such interference on the part of others. Now, I was reading the Constitution the other day. It's great, greatly written. And there's about 6 things that the Constitution does, purposes that the Constitution was written for. To promote justice, something about being transparent. I'll have to figure it out and name them all down. But the reason I bring that up is because I got a ticket the other day. I was parked, legally parked. My the back of my license plate hadn't been renewed yet, and so they gave me a $15 ticket, even though I had committed no crime. I have not harmed anybody. I've committed no crime. I've done nothing wrong. I'm not harmed, injured, done anything wrong, and yet they want me to pay a $15, $16 fine, and I'm like, this is, where's the justice in that? Why don't you leave me alone and allow me to live my life without being policed by these absurd laws? And it's not even a law; it's an ordinance, and it has the force of law. But it's one of the reasons why I'm on the journey that I'm on, and I'm fighting it just out of principle. I mean, it's $15. Many people might say, "Well, you're just being, I don't know, you're just being petty about it." And I'm like, no, I'm not being petty. Because at some point in time, people are going to get fed up with having other people telling them what to do, even though they've done nothing wrong. And enforcing laws that are unjust in order for them to fill their pockets, to line their pockets with money. It's not right. It's just not right. Continuing on, the Constitution protects your right to be left alone, which is a beautiful thing. And here's a quote from a United States Supreme Court decision. They conferred as against the government the right to be left alone, the most comprehensive of rights, and the right most valued by civilized men. At the end of the day, you just don't want people bothering you. At the end of the day, you don't want people in your business taking stuff from you, invading your personal property, infringing upon any of your rights or any of your liberties. At the end of the day, you don't want people hassling you and being involved in your life. And I think that that's fair, and the Constitution protects that. Now, the sole function of justice, very important that we understand this, the sole function of justice in courts of justice is to provide remedy for injury after they occur. After they occur. Not before, after. Remedy, recompense, reconciliation. There's another word. I'm not sure what it is. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Restitution, there it is. Restitution after they occur, not to proactively prevent harm or to promote arbitrary public good. This isn't the freaking Minority Report, but it actually is. And we'll go over that in the next slide. Here's what the Bible says about it. Do not strive or try to regulate or control or enslave a man without cause if he has done you no harm. If a person has done you no harm, why are you trying to police and enforce and regulate and govern rules over them? Why? Courts that switch from remedying harm after it occurs, I'm gonna throw that in there, after it occurs, to promoting good or preventing harm before it occurs are not constitutional courts. And I think that's important to understand. They're not protected by the Constitution, and again, these are, we know which rights are protected by the Constitution. We know that obviously our constitutional rights are protected and our private rights are protected. But this public right is not protected by the Constitution. So these courts that switch from remedying harm after it occurs to promoting good or preventing harm. And again, this promotion of good, there's nothing wrong with promoting good, but you can't have laws and forcing people to promote good that you think are, that you have legislated, right? Because some people might think, I don't know if that's good for me, and I don't necessarily know if I want to follow that law because it goes against my conscience or against my religious beliefs, right? So when you have laws that force good or promote good, for example, you should be getting forced to get a vaccine. I don't think anyone should be forced to get a vaccine. I think it's inherently unjust, and I think it's unconstitutional for sure. But it's the idea that they're saying, well, we're promoting good, social well-being, and we're preventing harm before it occurs. That's not a constitutional court. That is a franchise court, okay? Now, they are franchise courts in the executive branch, right? Now, the executive branch is supposed to enforce laws that are backed by the Constitution, right? So any type of law or any type of legislation has to be in cahoots, right, with the Constitution. It can't go against the Constitution. Otherwise, it'd be an unconstitutional law, right? The executive branch needs to stay in its lane, though, because the executive branch is only supposed to enforce, right? But but it's acting in the franchise courts. The executive branch is acting in a political rather than a legal capacity. They are supposed to stay in a legal capacity, not a political capacity. That is to say, not trying to convince people one way or another. They're just, here's the law, here's what it says. We are enforcing the law and the Constitution. Okay, and I just put this slide up here just because, you know, the Minority Report. Basically, the basic gist of it is, in a future where special police unit is able to arrest murderers before they commit the crimes, one police officer is basically is charged with a crime, and so he's set up. He finds out eventually that he is set up, and again, this is a special force acting in a political capacity. And they're saying, "Oh, it's for the greater good. We're trying to help society. We're gonna do right by society by making sure that we stop crimes before they ever happen, and that we punish crimes before they ever happen." And then all you have is just a bunch of people who are locked in these like dystopian jail prisons with their minds basically turned off and their consciousness basically turned off, and that's the world of jail, and that's the world that they live in. This evil, terrible, dystopian society. Now, what they end up finding out is that the system is very easily manipulated, and because it's so easily manipulated, this cop who is a good cop ends up finding himself on the bad side of a manipulated system. He ends up getting out of it, and I don't want to spoil it for you. But if you ever get a chance to watch it. You'll see that, you know, basically most of our laws are the Minority Report. So all franchise courts are political courts in the executive branch. They are not constitutional courts in the judicial branch, right? The judicial branch is obviously deals with the law, and it's supposed to enforce the law, and it's supposed to interpret the law, interpret different cases to make sure that they are that we're not infringing upon the rights of people. That's what the judicial branch is supposed to be doing. The executive branch is supposed to enforce laws, right? Not create laws, but to enforce them. But as soon, and you have to understand that these franchise courts For example, tax court, family court, traffic court, which I'm involved in right now, traffic court. This is not a constitutional court. They are franchise courts. I don't know if I can make that any more clear. Franchise courts, and they are political courts. It's a political court, and it's basically a way for the executive branch to not stay in its lane, and that's unfortunate. So executive branch courts, the courts are the worst possible threat to our liberty. According to the person who designed our branch system of government, you're going to see it right in these quotes here. When the legislative and executive powers are united in the same person or in the same body magistrates, there can be no liberty, because apprehensions may arise lest the same monarch or senate should enact tyrannical laws and execute them in a tyrannical manner. We're seeing that today with the vaccine mandates, mask mandates, and all of these things. We're seeing that they are enacting tyrannical laws and executing them in a tyrannical manner. And how is that possible? Because the executive branch has way more power than it should, and it's stepping out of its lane from enforcing the law to now legislating. Not only they're legislating, but now they're also enforcing the same laws that they're legislating. You can't have one branch making the laws and enforcing the laws, because then someone can take advantage of that. And of course, we'll have tyranny. Here's another quote from the same book. In what a situation must the poor subject be in those republics? That is us, me, you, those who are listening. In what a situation must poor subject be in those republics? And the same body of magistrates are possessed as executors. That is executors. Yeah. Executors. In the executive branch, they are supposed to be executing the law, right? Executing the law. Not only executors of the law, but they also create the law. They also legislate the law. You see why now these political courts, these franchise courts are an issue? Because in this, you have the executive branch who is not only enforcing the law, but they are also creating the law. And when you have them having that much power, then we become the subjects of tyranny. Of the whole power they have been given themselves in the quality of legislators, right? Executors and legislators in these franchise courts. And they may plunder the state by their general determinations, and as they have likewise the judiciary power in their hands, every private citizen may be ruined by their particular decisions. And today we are seeing this face value where it is so obvious that we're being ruined by the decisions of the executive franchise political courts. And it's very, very unfortunate, because they are not supposed to, they're completely stepping out of their lane to act in a judiciary way, right? So again, they are supposed to be acting, in a legal capacity. So guys, appreciate you for listening. That's about all I have for you right now. Man, the more that we understand, the more that we know, the better off we will be. Things, I believe, probably will get worse before they get better, but there's always hope that we can learn, that we can grow, and that we can fight this tyranny together. And as we learn, that's going to be beneficial for us all. Blessings to you guys, and we'll see you on our next episode.